Uh, Hello, everyone. Virgo, stop everything you're doing right now. I mean that. Stop scrolling, stop multitasking, stop whatever conversation you were half present in, because what came through in this reading today is the kind of thing that changes how you understand the last several months of your life in a single sitting. Someone told someone else that you are the one, not in a casual way, not in passing, not as a throwaway comment that slipped out and meant nothing. In the specific, weighted, impossible to walk back way that people speak when they are finally saying out loud the thing they have been carrying privately for far too long. And the person they said it to, the person who received that information, is still sitting with it, still processing it. Because hearing someone say your name with that kind of certainty does something to people. It rearranges things, it makes them look at you differently, it makes them look at themselves differently. And here is what I need you to understand before we go a single step further. The people in your orbit right now, some of them are not looking at you with neutral eyes. They are looking at you the way people look at someone they recognize as powerful, someone they recognize as significant, someone who, no matter how much time passes or how much distance accumulates, refuses to become ordinary in the minds of the people who have truly encountered them. You are still being seen as a major threat. And I don't want you to hear that word and flinch, because in this context, being a threat doesn't mean danger. It means you represent something to people that destabilizes their comfortable version of reality. You are a threat to their ability to move on easily, a threat to the story they've been trying to tell themselves about why things went the way they went, a threat to their peace. Because real peace, the kind built on truth, is impossible to access when you keep thinking about someone the way they keep thinking about you. Before we go deeper, if this is already resonating, if something in your chest said yes before your mind had time to catch up, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop the word threat in the comments. Not because you're here to intimidate anyone, but because you are ready to own the power you've been minimizing. You are ready to understand what you actually mean to people, and you are ready to stop pretending to be less than you are for the comfort of those who can't handle how much you actually are. Let's get into the cards, because Spirit has been waiting to show you this. The first card, the Lovers. The first card landed before I even completed the shuffle, and the moment I saw it, I understood why this reading had to happen today. The Lovers. Look at this card. A man and a woman standing beneath the gaze of an angel, arms at their sides, facing each other and facing upward simultaneously. A mountain rises between them in the background, not a wall, not a barrier, but a peak. Something that requires effort to reach, but that rewards the reaching. Above them, the angel Raphael spreads wings wide, blessing what stands below, bearing witness to a choice being made. Because that's what the Lover's card is really about, Virgo. Not just love in the soft and easy sense. Choice, conscious, deliberate, fully aware of the consequences, choice. The kind of choice that someone makes when they have looked honestly at everything available to them and said, it's you after everything, through everything, despite everything. It is you. And that is precisely what was said. Someone made a declaration, not to you directly, not yet, but to someone close enough to matter, someone whose opinion carries weight in this situation. And what they declared was that in their mind, in their heart, in the place where the truth lives before it becomes speakable, you are the one. You were always the one. And whatever they've been doing in the time since you were last fully in each other's lives, it has not changed that fundamental fact. If anything, it has clarified it, sharpened it, made it impossible to keep pretending otherwise. What I want you to feel in this first card is not just the warmth of being chosen. Feel the weight of it. Feel what it means that this person who you know does not say things like this easily, who has probably built significant defenses around exactly this kind of vulnerability, said it anyway, said it to someone else, which in some ways is harder than saying it directly because saying it to someone else makes it real in the external world in a way that can't be quietly taken back. They made it real, and now it's moving toward you. The second card, the Seven of Wands. The second card tells me why you are still being seen as a threat, what it is about your specific energy that keeps you present and significant and impossible to dismiss in the minds and lives of the people around you. The Seven of Wands appeared, a figure standing on high ground, 1 foot higher than the other, holding a wand defensively against 6 wands rising from below. The posture is one of someone who has been challenged repeatedly and has held their position every single time, not without effort, not without cost, but without yielding. This is your energy, Virgo, and I want to describe it precisely because I think you underestimate how rare it actually is. You have been through things, real things, situations that had every reason to break you down, to make you smaller, to teach you that the safer strategy is to want less, hope for less, expect less, and protect yourself by preemptively retreating from anything that could hurt you. You have had experiences that would have justified becoming closed, guarded in the permanent sense, done with vulnerability in a way that many people would have completely understood. And you didn't close. You got more discerning, you got more selective, you got clearer about what you would and wouldn't tolerate, but you did not close. You did not stop being fully, genuinely, sometimes inconveniently yourself. You did not stop caring deeply about the things and people worth caring deeply about. You did not sand down your edges into something more manageable and less threatening. And that refusal to diminish yourself is exactly what makes you a threat. Because people who have made themselves smaller, people who have convinced themselves that wanting less is the same as being wiser, people who have traded their full aliveness for a more predictable kind of safety when they encounter someone who hasn't done that, someone who is still standing on their high ground, holding their position, it does something uncomfortable to them. It reminds them of a choice they made. It asks a question they'd rather not answer. You simply by being fully yourself, ask that question just by walking into a room. That's why they can't stop thinking about you. That's why you remain a threat long after you've stopped trying to be. Not because you're doing anything aggressive or strategic, because your existence is a mirror that reflects back what they traded away. And the person who declared you the one part of what made that declaration necessary, part of what finally made it impossible to keep inside, is that they looked at that mirror long enough and clearly enough to recognize what they actually want, what they have always actually wanted. The third card, the moon. The third card speaks to what has been happening beneath the surface of this situation, the hidden layer, the part of this story that neither you nor the people around you have had full visibility into until now. The moon appeared, and this card always asks for careful attention because nothing in it is quite what it first appears to be. Look at the image: a full moon shining between two towers, a path leading away from a pool of water toward the distant horizon, a crayfish emerging from the water, a dog and a wolf howling at the moon from opposite banks. Everything illuminated, but in the particular way of moonlight, which shows you the shapes of things without always showing you their true colors. What the moon is telling me about your situation is that there has been a significant amount happening in the shadows, not in the sinister sense, in the human sense, in the sense that the most important feelings in this situation on all sides have been living beneath the surface, unexpressed, processed privately, kept out of the direct light because bringing them into the direct light felt too risky, too exposing, too final. For the person who made the declaration, the moon, shows me someone who has been in a long internal negotiation, someone who has known what they felt for a considerable time, but has been managing reasons why acting on it was complicated, why the timing wasn't right, why the circumstances made it impossible, why waiting made more sense than moving. And the moon shows me that negotiation finally resolving, not because the circumstances became simpler, because the weight of not saying it became heavier than the risk of saying it. For the people who received that declaration, the moon shows me surprise that isn't entirely surprise. The quality of hearing something and realizing you already knew it on some level but hadn't let yourself fully acknowledge it. The slight disorientation of a secret becoming a spoken thing, of something private becoming shared and therefore real in a new way. And for you, Virgo, the moon shows me your intuition has been picking all of this up, not in clear images with clean edges. In the way the moon illuminates things, in impressions, in feelings, in the particular quality of certain silences, in the specific weight of certain absences, you've been feeling something shifting without being able to name it. You've been sensing movement in the invisible layer of this situation without having confirmation. The moon is your confirmation. What you've been feeling is real. The shift you've been sensing is real. The something is changing quality that has been present in your experience lately that is real, and it is this. The fourth card, the Knight of Cups. The fourth card tells me what is moving toward you now, what is in motion as a direct result of what was said and what it set in motion in the people who heard it. The Knight of Cups appeared, a knight on a white horse, moving at a calm but determined pace, holding a cup out before him as though carrying an offering. His helmet is winged. The river runs beside him. The mountains are distant but present. Everything about this figure is purposeful movement, not the frantic charging of someone acting on impulse, but the steady forward motion of someone who has made a decision and is now executing it with full intention. This is someone coming toward you, Virgo, not running, not rushing in a way that would suggest panic or desperation, moving with the particular quality of someone who has finally gotten clear and is now moving from that clarity. Someone who has done the internal work, the months of processing, the difficult, honest conversations they've had with themselves, the admission they made to someone else. That was really a practice run for the admission they need to make to you and is now ready to bring what they've been carrying to you directly. What they are bringing is not just words. The Knight of Cups carries a cup in offering. What this person brings to you is substance, genuine feeling that has survived time and distance and difficulty without diminishing. The kind of feeling that, if anything, has been clarified and deepened by the circumstances that might have been expected to dissolve it. For those of you in a situation where communication has been limited or absent, this card tells me that is about to change. A message is coming. A conversation is being initiated. Something that has been suspended in the silence between you is about to be spoken, and when it arrives, it will not feel like a surprise in the way that unexpected things feel surprising. It will feel like the arrival of something that was always going to come, like a letter that was written a long time ago, finally reaching its destination. For those of you where contact has been more present, but the real conversation hasn't happened yet, this card tells me the real conversation is close. The surface level interactions are about to give way to something more honest and more direct. Someone is working up to saying what they actually mean, and what they actually mean is significant. The fifth card, Strength. The fifth card is about you, not the situation, not the other people, not what's coming from the outside, you. Where you are right now in your own interior landscape and what that means for how you receive what's moving toward you. Strength appeared. A woman in white, garlanded with flowers, gently closing the mouth of a lion. No weapon, no force, no drama. Just the particular power of someone who knows themselves so completely that they don't need anything external to prove it. The lion's energy is not suppressed, it's integrated. It's being held with understanding rather than dominance. This is your energy right now, Virgo, and I want you to sit with it, because this card appearing in this position is not an accident. You have done real work on yourself. Not the performative kind, not the kind you announce or display or use as content. The quiet, private, unglamorous kind. The kind that happens in the moments between everything else, in the conversations you have with yourself in the dark, in the choices you make when no one is watching, and the easier option is right there, and you choose the harder one anyway, because it's the one that's actually true. That work shows. Not in a way you necessarily broadcast, in the way you carry yourself, in the quality of your presence, in the particular combination of warmth and groundedness that makes people feel both drawn to you and slightly in awe of you simultaneously. In the fact that people who encounter you in their real moments, not their performed moments, not their managed moments, but their real ones, don't easily forget the experience. The Strength card in this position is telling you something important about what's coming. The things that are moving toward you, the declaration, the recognition, the conversation, the opening, they require you to receive them from this place, from this woman in white with the lion, not from the version of you that is still waiting for permission to be as powerful as you actually are, not from the version of you that pre-apologizes for taking up space, not from the version of you that makes yourself smaller to make the arrival of good things less frightening. From here, from this, from the full, unhesitant, completely inhabited version of yourself that knows without needing to perform the knowing exactly who she is and exactly what she deserves. The final card, the Emperor, the last card. And when I turned it over, I actually paused because the Emperor in this position, as the final card in a reading about someone declaring you the one and others seeing you as a threat, this card is a statement, the Emperor, seated on a stone throne, armor beneath his robes, a long white beard that speaks to experience earned rather than claimed, an orb in one hand, a scepter in the other. The mountains behind him are bare and imposing. Everything about this figure says this is someone who is not going anywhere, someone whose authority does not depend on being liked or validated or agreed with, someone who has built something real on a foundation solid enough to last. And Spirit is putting this card in front of you today to say, this is what people see when they look at you. This is the energy they are responding to when they call you a threat. This is the quality they are reckoning with when they declare you the one. Not just warmth, not just beauty, not just the soft and appealing things. Power, real power. The kind that is built slowly over time through actual experience and actual choices and actual integrity applied consistently, even when it costs something. You have built something in yourself, Virgo, something that took a long time and went through real difficulty and came out the other side as something neither easily dismantled nor easily replaced. And people feel that. They feel the solidity of it. They feel the roots of it. And that the rootedness, the realness, the sense that you are not a phase or a mood or a temporary presence, but something lasting and true that is exactly what makes you impossible to fully move on from. You are not a threat because you are doing anything aggressive. You are a threat because you are real in a world where so much is performance. You are a threat because being near you makes people feel, perhaps for the first time in a long time, what it's like to be in the presence of someone who is completely and unapologetically themselves. And that feeling, once felt, becomes a standard, a reference point, a thing that other experiences get measured against. That is your power, Virgo. That is what they declared. That is what they cannot stop seeing, even when they try. And here is what comes next. The Emperor does not chase. The Emperor does not beg. The Emperor does not compromise the foundation to make others comfortable. The Emperor builds, holds position, remains exactly and completely who they are, and allows the people who recognize that to come forward. So that is your instruction. Not action in the frenetic sense, presence, complete, undefended, unapologetic presence as yourself. Let the declaration that was made travel toward you at its own speed. Let the people who are losing their minds over you reckon with what they feel at their own pace. Let the recognition continue to grow in the spaces you're not in. And when it arrives at your door, and it is arriving, open it from here, from the full height of who you actually are, without shrinking, without rushing to make it easier for anyone, without pre-forgiving anyone for taking too long. You are the one. You have always been the one. And now, finally, the people who needed to say it out loud are saying it. Come back and tell me in the comments what landed. Tell me whose face came to mind during the Knight of Cups. Tell me what you felt when I described the Strength card. Tell me if something shifted in how you see the last few months of your life, because you deserve to be seen. completely, Virgo, and that after everything is exactly what is happening now.